Hi again, Year 9. So, second video, we're still talking about the physiological management of common sports injuries. So that's things that are actually wrong with the body. We've gone through the SALTAPS protocol. If you've come to the decision during that SALTAPS protocol to remove the player from the pitch, the court or the situation, then you're going to move on to the next step, which would be price. You've probably heard of RICE before, rest, ice, compression and elevation. Price has just got another step in it. So you would do this either if you've removed the athlete from the situation, or at the end of the game, if they're still having problems, then you would use this price protocol as well. So it's this set of notes that we're going to look at. If I run through this one with you, again, there's only one branch here, so we're running down the branch, remembering that identify is your subheading, describe is describing the protocol, and explain is saying exactly what you do within that protocol. So if you've removed them from the pitch, or again if it's after a game, the first thing you've got to do is try to reduce the swelling, so the athlete doesn't feel any more pain. If you reduce the swelling, they're more likely to be able to get back to sport quickly. The ways that you reduce swelling are to constrict the vessels. So all the vessels that are taking blood to the area, you try to make them smaller. And of course, as you know, you do that using ice. Vasoconstriction makes those blood vessels, so veins and arteries, smaller so that less blood can go through them. It slows down the rush of blood to the area. And then later on, you might want to increase that blood flow. So once you've flushed the bad blood out, stop the bad blood going to the area, or remove blood from the area, you might then use heat to open those vessels back up again so the good blood can go into the area and start repairing it. If I run through price, so price stands for protect, rest, ice, compression and elevation. So P, price, so you need to protect the injured area, so don't move it, don't put the athlete in a situation where they're going to hurt it again. Okay, just simple things to protect it. If you need to, put it in a splint. Rest, stop the activity, or get the athlete to stop walking on it, running on it. Just give them a day or so to rest the area so they can recover. So once you've stopped them doing anything, you're then going to apply ice. That could be a bag of peas, a cold pack, something like that. And again, this is to reduce the blood flow through vasoconstriction, so making the blood vessels smaller so that not as much blood goes to the area, and it keeps the swelling of the area down. It also actually reduces pain if you put ice on something. The next one's compression. So you'll have seen those tubey bandages, those elasticated bandages. If you put those on the area, it keeps it compressed and it stops blood going into the area, reduces the blood flow, and stops other things going into that area. And the last one is elevation. So elevation just means to lift something. So if you have, for example, an injured knee, what you need to do is lift the knee above the heart. That makes it harder for the heart to pump blood to the area because it's got to pump the blood uphill. If you can stop it pumping the blood uphill as much, then you're reducing the blood flow again. And less blood, etc., that's going to the area, less swelling. This would probably go on for about 24 hours after the injury's happened. So you've reduced the swelling and then you're going to be able to tell what it is. Okay, Year 9. I hope this helps because I know a few of you have struggled with this. I'm going to set this today. I'll leave it on for today and tomorrow. And if you could get that done for Monday and just email it to me, r.thomas@ndacademy.co.uk. I'll have a look at it, I'll mark it, and you need to save those notes. The way I'm going to do this is I'm going to get you to do these notes every week, and then at the end of it, hopefully when we're all back, all you'll have to do is copy and paste those notes, paragraphs together that you've made, and you'll have a complete assignment. Any questions, let me know. Have a good day, stay safe, bye.